here we go. Cool. And it looks like, are we live? Yes, we are live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Saturdays with Steph. As you can see, I am not alone today. I have a whole bunch of my friends here with me. Today, we're here to give you some progress updates and show a little bit on our 4S Collab Club. That's a lot of words.
Yeah, say fast 5 times.
Right. No, I'm not going to. So I want to welcome everybody to my channel, and I'm going to let all these creators introduce themselves one at a time. I think they probably don't need any introduction. You know all of them. But just in case, for some reason, you've been living under a rock and you don't know them, I'm going to go ahead and let them take it away and introduce themselves.
Okay. Who's starting? Am I starting?
Sean.
Yes.
Or Sean is?
Okay.
We just had the conversation
I thought we had it,
about alphabetically.
We did decide this before we started, but my memory is short because I'm the oldest one here in the group. So, excuse me.
Me too. I've been running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Where is my chicken? It's around here somewhere. Oh, here we are. Yeah, see, this is me.
There you go.
Yeah, Sean today. Here we go. So this is me. So anyway, so my name is Sean. I am the guy who sews. If you haven't checked out my channel, come over and check it out. I have a weekly live Saturday morning at 8 a.m. for those early birds, and a Sunday morning podcast. And it's always a lot of fun. We throw some other videos out as well. So that is me in a nutshell. And I am working on the Fab Farm project, if you haven't already figured it out, with a chicken with its head still attached. And then I finished my last box recently, the sunflowers, and I'm trying to actually attach all of it together to make a quilt top tonight. Will it happen? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. That's me.
And his link is in the chat for anybody who has not subscribed. Please go over and subscribe. We're begging all of you during Vlogmas and during this Christmas season to subscribe to all of us. So
we're begging. Yeah. Well, everybody knows me. I'm Steven, the idiot quilter. And yeah, I'm working. If you remember, you guys picked the one I really wanted you to pick. You picked the scrappy cats because I figured this one's a breeze. It is so easy. No, it wasn't. And I'll explain why later on when we get there. I have bits and pieces of it to show you as well. But yeah, and my channel, of course, is the Idiot Quilter. So everybody says Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter. I don't usually say Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter. The reason being is when I first started the channel, it was Bland Designs. I was a paper crafter, scrapbooker. I wasn't a quilter. And then when I started the Idiot Quilter, I couldn't. They were separating each other. So I lumped the two together and they ended up as Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter. So either one gets me. Either one. Idiot Quilter is easier to remember.
Yeah.
Wait, your turn.
And his link is in the chat as well. So please go over to Steven's channel, check him out, subscribe.
Yay!
And
Hi, everybody. Yep, last but not least, I'm Shannon. For those of you that are following along, this will be the second time today you've seen me because of Vlogmas, and Stephanie has Vlogmas too, and we have been having so much fun doing that. But for tonight, I am doing the Art Deco. It was all Art Deco for the three of my patterns, that's the word. And I am working on the deco tiles from Exhausted Octopus. Which way did I say it was going? This way. There we go.
Yes. Beautiful.
And I'm starting the rows together, and they're on point. So I have these setting and the end triangles that I'll be working on tonight. So excited.
Awesome. That looks great, Shannon. Those flowers that you have, Sean, are just the cutest thing. And I have that pattern now. It makes me want to do it.
It's been such a fun pattern. If anyone's on the fence about it, I highly recommend the pattern. It is a lot of cutting. I will not lie about that. But if you tackle it block by block, it's very doable. I set out to do 1 block a week, and I think I managed to stick to that pretty well. So if you just break it into small pieces and just do the chicken 1 week, the cow the next, and so forth, it's very manageable. Start off with the strawberry. That's what I did. It was like 12 pieces. It went together really quickly, and then you can just work your way from there.
So the strawberry
Nice.
lulls you into a sense of like complacency that you got it. And then the
Well,
rest
I
of it,
actually, the strawberry I actually did as a test because the background fabric that I use, which is this wonderful green, I was very unsure about when I started off because I wanted to use everything from Stash. And so I did this as a test really to see if I liked the green as a background. So yeah, it does lull you into a false sense of security, but really at the end of the day, it's not that. Once you get the cutting out, to me was the hardest part.
yeah.
So yeah, once you get past that, it's all very much smooth sailing.
I agree with you, Sean, because I've done Elizabeth Hartman patterns before and Art East, which is what I'm working on now. The cutting on these is the difficult part. Once you start sewing, it's not bad, even though there's lots of pieces, but the cutting, oh my goodness, takes a while.
That's
Oh, you
why
think
that's why I'm very glad that the third choice was the Fox one that I had, and that was Elizabeth Hartman, and I have never done Elizabeth Hartman. So I am going to do that one though eventually, but I'm not looking forward to the cutting.
Yeah.
Well, you
Oh,
think
what's
that's
that,
bad?
Sean?
Try this. This is chapter 3 of the Wizard of Oz, not the Wizard of
Ooh.
Oz, the Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
This is the undiscovered layer of hell, as Shannon politely puts it.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh, that's funny. So Tracy said, Shannon, that looks like a Tiffany lamp. Very Art Deco and so pretty. It's gorgeous.
I'm so excited. And it was not meant to be a Christmas wall hanging. When I started, I really didn't know what I was going to do. And I just happened to have the green and the red together on a live. And everybody was like, Christmas, absolutely Christmas quilt. And I was like, yep, you're right. It's beautiful. So I'm really excited about how it all came together. I can't wait to show you guys the finished product.
It's awesome. Shelly Clark said, cutting out is a separate hobby. I agree.
Yeah, I just take my time with it. I don't sit there and like rush the cutting. I just sit down, I put a video on or a movie and just take my time with it. I find when I rush, I make mistakes. As you probably saw right before the live went live, I had to cut something like 3 times and it was driving me nuts. So yeah, just take your time with it.
Yeah. So
Well,
I had the Puffin Star. That's the one you guys picked for me. And this is just a little preview. He's completely done. And some of you may have already seen this. I showed it in my UFO Wit vlog. So I am working on another pattern. The one on the wall behind me is called Going Coastal by Art East. And that was like one of the other 3 choices. So I'm on my second quilt, but somebody's already beat me over here, Mr. Steven. He's already finished 2 tops.
well, you know, Sean already said the reason being is that I don't have a job. I'm retired. I think he said retire. It was either retire or the other word, retired. I don't know, whatever it was. But I'm sure he meant retired. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I got the first one done because, okay, I'll show you. I'm not going to show you the whole quilt, but I have it completely done. I've been showing it in bits and pieces on my channel, but I'm saving the big reveal of the whole thing when we get together in January to do that. But I'll show you here. I'm just going to share my screen, little bits and pieces of it.
Nice.
Here we go. Okay. You should be able to see that now, I think. Yep. Okay, so you will notice that this is just a couple of the kitties on this quilt. That's called Scrappy Cats, as you know, and it's because you're supposed to make it with scraps. Yeah. Well, I had some problems with the pattern. And I had this pattern from a long time ago. This was I think it was a free pattern, and I think I bought it on Etsy. Yeah, because it had cats in it, and it was early in my quilting career. And then I discarded it. I didn't get any further than the instructions kind of a thing. Made a couple of notes, and I guess I moved on to something else. So I was thinking, well, this is going to be easy because the blocks are just essentially all the same. You're just using different colors, whatever. Yeah. Then I looked at it again and found my notes and realized, oh, the instructions are so horribly written. Just horrible. I had to redo all the instructions. I had to make diagrams for myself to make sure I got the placement of the blocks right. And they're not hard blocks. They're just made up of half square triangles, essentially. But I don't know how many times I sewed a cat's head to its body upside down.
Oh, no.
The tail went the wrong way, whatever. But I persevered. I got through it. So there's just some of the blocks. And then here's my quilting. It is little cat paws, and yeah, and that's all you're going to get to see of that. Lucy did a nice job. She and I had a good time when we did this. And if you don't know who Lucy is my long arm. We sometimes have words, and they are 4-letter, believe me. And this is the backing that I used. And if you look at the backing carefully, I had this in my stash, but it looks like little cats, little cat blocks. If you look at it, you know, bend your head sideways, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can see it. So yeah, so I have the whole quilt done, as I said, but you're not going to get to see the whole thing now until in January when we all come together again. And then I started working on the second choice, and that was the one with the bundles called Bundles of Joy. And if you've been watching my channel, you know I've put in a couple of extra blocks or changed them so that there's sort of kitties sitting next to some of the blocks of joy. They're blocks of fabric, all wrapped up, and there's claw marks in some of them as well. So instead of Bundles of Joy, that one is now being called Bundles Destroyed, because if you've got a cat, you know what I'm talking about. So, yep. And I may do the third choice one eventually, that what we were talking about earlier, the Elizabeth Hartman. It's just, I'm taking a rest from those. I'm doing something else. And right today, I'm not working on a piecing project. I'm working on an in the hoop embroidery project, because I love in the hoop stuff. And so that's what I'm doing in the background here. So you'll see me popping up and popping down, changing colors of threads and stuff like that. Shannon just got so choked up over it. She's so excited. Yeah.
Brought a tear to my eye.
So is there anybody saying anything that we should note here?
I don't know, but what are you working on the hoop? Are you doing that tree skirt?
No, I should be. If Jan's on here, she'll be telling me I should be.
I know.
No, I'm working on something called, I'll show you the picture. It was on sale. I love a sale when it comes to, they know me too well on all the mailing lists for all the embroidery places. This one is by Sweet Pea Designs. And I don't buy a lot of their designs because a lot of them I find are just beyond, they're not part of my eclectic. They're too cute. But this one I saw, and it could work as a winter wall hanging or a Christmassy wall hanging. And here it is right here. It's called Fireplace Hanger. And it comes in 3 sizes. I'm doing the mid-size one for this, and I'm thinking I may give it to the neighbors next door if it turns out half decent, which I'm pretty sure it will. But I love doing these kind of things, but they do take a lot of time, a lot of color changing, a lot of, you know, sitting and watching a machine going, la, 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 which, you know, I have been known to fall asleep at the embroidery machine, but you're usually awakened very quickly when you suddenly feel this needle going through your head because you fell asleep on the hoop. But, you know, enough about things that get me excited. That's what I'm working on right now. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's see. Lots of people saying hello. Some people saying they got snow.
Ooh, I can keep that.
Yeah, ours has all melted away. We've had rain for the last 2 days, so it's all the snow's gone. It's a little bit unseasonably warm here, which it's very strange for this time of year. But I'll take it.
It was 70 degrees here today. I was running around in my t-shirt and shorts. I figured it's the last time in 2023 it was going to happen, so I took advantage of it.
70 degrees. Wow, that's wild.
It just means that you know, a bout of pneumonia is about to hit us all. So.
Yeah.
Well, I've had my pneumonia shot because my doctor told me, you're over 65. You should have a pneumonia shot. Oh, okay. Thank you. You get to a certain age and all they want to do is stick you with needles for things. You know, shingles, pneumonia, flu, COVID. I feel like a human pincushion. So just
a bunch of people are saying that that's a cute project, Stephen. And
it turned out nice.
Bev said, I agree, Stephen. I love doing in the hoop too, but always seem to run out of time.
Yeah.
70 in Georgia too, waiting for the rain.
All right. So Joan is asking me about the turtle. She is actually behind me. She's alive and well. She's just resting right now. So Rowena's still with us. Nothing's wrong with her. She's just resting. A lot of times if I don't feed her before I record, she is jumping around begging. She's learnt from Finley and Copper that if you dance around enough, you get fed.
I've seen her swimming around in there when you're sitting there in front of the camera. She's just moving around and yeah.
Yeah, I think she was just concerned something had happened to little Rowena, but no, she's still around. She's alive and kicking. I'm sure if I dropped a few morsels of food in there, she would be definitely moving around a bit more.
Don, you know, I have thought of, I wouldn't do this, but I have thought of doing it in my imagination, which runs overtime most of the time, of taking one when you're sitting there and you're sewing away and you can see the turtle behind you and it's peeking up over the top, putting in thought bubbles over top and going, oh my God, he's making another quilt. I want to feed me, Seymour, feed me. Let me out of
That'd
this
be funny.
tank. I feel like a mime.
That would
That'd be funny.
hilarious.
All right, now where did I put?
So I'll take a look at what people are saying. So Tamala's been putting up her outdoor Christmas lights. Oh,
nice.
Catherine has a question for me. What kind of stabilizer do you use for the heavily stitched designs? Well, it depends on where it's going to go. This one, I am using something called a tearaway stabilizer, and it's like a sort of a papery base, and you tear away anything that's excess in it, but you can leave it in, especially in something like a wall hanging that you probably aren't going to really wash. If it is something, though, that I'm going to wash and I want it to be relatively soft, then I'll use something called no-show mesh, which is what it says. It is basically a mesh. It doesn't dissolve, but it's very, very soft. If you're embroidering on a shirt, for example, and piece of that embroidery would be pressing against your skin, if you use the no-show mesh on it, it's very soft and it just gets a little softer every time you wash it as well. And those are basically the two stabilizers I use. Oh, and water soluble. Water soluble, those for things what they call freestanding lace, which is basically all thread. There isn't any fabric in it at all. And then you just rinse it and it's like a glue. It just dissolves. And the less you rinse it, the stiffer your project will be. So it's great if you're doing three-dimensional houses. Like someone mentioned, they saw our So Chatty with all my Christmas decorations, and a lot of them were freestanding applique, which I use the water soluble because I leave a little bit of it in as it dissolves. And when it dries, it makes the piece stiff, so it'll stand up. So those are principally the three kinds of stabilizers I use depending on the project. Hope that answered your question.
Bev mentioned that she posted her table runner in my Facebook group, and she's talking about the Cotton Cuts mini mystery, the holiday Rosa Your Way thing that we just finished. So I'm excited to see that because she had the blue and silver colorway. And then Sean, this comment's for you. Russ said, I just noticed Sean's t-shirt. I love it. And
Yeah.
I was noticing it earlier too. My husband loves Nintendo and he would love that too.
I found it at Kohl's last week over in their graphic t-shirt thing. We were out buying stuff, like doing some shopping with Lorenzo and Simon, and I happened to see this. It was on sale for like $9.99. I was like, I've got to have this. Like, you know, I grew up with the Nintendo Entertainment System as a kid, and I just felt it was perfect. So yeah, I normally don't go clothes shopping for myself, but I just couldn't leave this one behind. So next time you're in Kohl's, maybe you can find one for your husband.
There you go. And Russ too. Russ, go to Kohl's.
So I'm curious with the three of you too. What are your plans for these quilts when you're done? If you have one.
This Going Coastal one that I'm working on now is going to be mine because I love all things water, you know, ocean blue, stuff like that. The puffin quilt, I think my youngest son is going to get it because he has been, ever since I made it, he loves it. He goes over to it all the time. He talks about it all the time. So I think it's going to be his.
Very nice.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the kitty quilt or the bundles of joy, because to date, what I do is I put them in a big storage bag and they sit in the Lucy room, and there's like about 40 quilts sitting in there right now that don't see the light of day, and I forget I have them. So I have to do something about it. I said last year, and I never did it this year, I was going to give quilts to Project Linus. I found a contact person for it in my area, the whole bit. I talked to her about the whole thing, and I didn't do anything about it. And I think I'm going to have to start. And I want to give quilts to, especially for teenagers, because apparently they get lots of quilts for babies and toddlers and young kids, but the teenagers don't get much. And I think I'm going to make a concerted effort this year to go through my stash of quilts and separate them out. These are ones I really want to keep. And these are the ones I'm going to donate, because I don't know why I'm hanging on to them. I store them out of sight, out of mind. I forget that I even have them, but I have nobody in my family to give any more quilts to. They don't want them. My sister does not. I've offered to make her a quilt, any style she wants, any color for her decor. And she says, no, I don't have any place to store it. No, you don't.
You're supposed to use it.
You use it. Throw it on the couch, fold it up, put it at the foot of your bed. I don't know, wear it as a cape in the snow. Whatever. But my nephew and niece, they both got quilts and they seem to be happy with them. And my brother who lives out west, well, it's kind of difficult. I did make them a quilt, and they happened to be out here, and so they got to take it home. I didn't have to worry about trying to mail it. But that was a custom one, according to the colors that my sister-in-law liked. And she was very picky about colors. Not a quilter, you see, had to match the decor. So you always know they're not quilters when they've got quilts. They say they want quilts to match their decor, And my niece, like, they have 3 children. So there's Katie, the oldest, and she's married now. She just turned 30. And she'd probably take a quilt, but it's getting it to them because they're in BC. I mean, Canada Post, I have to take out a small mortgage to mail something like a quilt. But I may investigate it much more carefully than I have. And, I think, Stephanie, you told me, like, you suck all the air out of the plastic bag, you put it in, kind of a thing.
Yes.
Condense it. So yeah, I'm going to look into that in the new year as well. And then yep.
Why you coming down to Georgia at the end of the month? Bring it with you and then mail it in the US, and it'll be like a fifth of the cost.
No, it won't be. Not into, because when it comes back, if I mail it from the States, they might hit me with a duty for something that I already own.
Yeah.
If you mail it from Atlanta to go to DC, they'll be domestic.
To DC?
Didn't you say she was in DC?
No,
BC.
British
BC. Oh, okay. Well, never mind then. Okay, I got the letters wrong.
The Brit Columbia, not the District Columbia.
Okay, all right, I'm with you now. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going back to my corner.
Yeah. No, I wish it was cheaper, but no, it's not. And there's another nephew there too, the youngest one. He still lives at home, the same problem. But then my middle nephew, their middle son, he lives in Australia. And I am going over there, as you know, in the spring, and hoping to I haven't told my nephew yet that we're coming over, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to arrange some time, because he's right in Sydney, and that's where we're flying into. And but I don't know. We are talking about taking an extra suitcase, so I could maybe put a quilt in an extra suitcase. Yeah, and
that would be fun.
Check that in. That might be another possibility. I don't know if he wants one or not. I'll have to kind of check with him to see. But yeah, but that's all I have for relatives. And Walter's side, his sister and brother-in-law and his nephew and niece, they all got quilts last year at Christmas. And now there are 2, his oldest nephew has 2 little girls. Well, they're not so little anymore. They're getting up there. They're about like grade 6 and 7 or something like that. And I should see, I think they're old enough to have a quilt. Actually, I would have given them one earlier, but their mother said no, that she didn't think that they were old enough to appreciate having a quilt yet. Well, I don't know. I think so there is possibilities there. I used to have friends I could give quilts to. I was going to, but I don't like them anymore. So yeah, that's a story for another day. Yeah, I'm joking. It's not that I don't like them. I just never see them. So
Yeah.
they're
So
working
Sean, Lawayne has a question for you. He said, speaking of teenagers, how is your exchange student quilting lessons coming along?
We haven't had a chance to do any since last week. For anyone that didn't know, Lorenzo, who is one of our exchange students from Italy, made a beautiful quilt top. And let me just grab it real quick. This is it here that he made.
Cool.
I cut out all the fabric for him. I just wanted him to concentrate on the sewing, but he has made it for his 1-year-old niece, and we'll go ahead and baste it and quilt it and do all that goodness sometime in the near future. So we haven't done anything since, because today he's actually up in New York City hanging out with some of the other kids, touring the Great Isle of Manhattan. So, but yeah, I'll keep you all updated as we make progress on that.
But that's a great for his very first one. That's good.
He did such a fantastic job. He picked it up super quick. I am so proud of him. As just how well he did. I mean, I think it took him maybe 2 hours, 2.5 or so to put that whole quilt top together. There's there's 6.5-inch squares, and I think there's 9 rows, six squares each. So I mean, he knocked it out pretty quick. You know,
That's
like he started
good.
off slow, and then once he got more comfortable, he was able to, you know, piece a whole lot quicker.
Nice.
Well, that's nice. That's good. I'm glad to see that you've got a young guy into quilting. We need
Oh, for sure.
people in quilting.
Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe our next project is I might get like I'm thinking about buying one of the Cotton Cuts gnomes, because everything's pre-cut, and so I can introduce him to square triangles that way without me having to cut them all or him having to cut them, and just let him have some fun with
That's a
one of
good
the
idea.
gnomes. Yeah, maybe I'll pick one out and get it shipped here in the next week or two, and then that way he can sit there and play with that. You know, make a nice little wall hanging for himself so he can take it home or give it to a family member or something like that. I think that'd be a lot of fun for him. He doesn't know that yet, but that's kind of what I was thinking of doing.
I'm just looking at what the comments are here. People are talking about what things I could do with my quilts. Laura says that she strongly suggests Project Linus. It's an amazing organization. And Sue says please do. We have 6 women that quilt for all ages. We started with the nursing homes, then homeless, and now the kids are going through it. Now that's another thought too, nursing homes.
Yeah.
Because I made
true.
a few quilts for my mother when she was in a nursing home. And yeah, so that's an idea. What else?
Because you could also make smaller ones for them too, where what is it? I think it's like 36 by 36 or so. You can make them like the wheelchair, like the ones for the wheelchair. So you can do something, fairly quick and easy for them as well. There's so many different wonderful things you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's projects for the neonatal unit of the hospital. Yeah, for the hospitals. But okay, this is going to sound horrible. I know. I don't do baby quilts. I have never made a baby quilt. And never say never, but the reason I don't do baby quilts is because there's no one in my age group that's having a baby. And if they are, it's an immaculate conception. Okay. They're having grandchildren, things like that.
Right.
Also, I really feel that everybody does baby quilts. There's tons of them out there. And again, I go back to what I said about teenagers. You know, they get neglected a lot. And teenagers, if we all remember, and we probably don't, what we were like when we were teenagers, because we wipe those memories when we become a certain age, we just wipe them out.
It was only 4 years ago. I remember it clearly.
Well, it's only 5 for me, but yeah. But yeah, I think well, it's also because that's what I taught, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I used to like teenagers. Not so sure about that anymore. Who knows? In my day, Sonny. But yeah, but I mean, I'm sure there's other areas of the hospital that I know that, they have people like, unfortunately, people who, are going through cancer treatments,
Yeah.
I've heard that's something that they get very cold very quickly there. And so having something nice and warm. So yeah, I'm seriously going to have to do something about it. I did donate to Quilts of Valor. But those are a specialized type of quilt. So, you've got to really have in your mind what it is that you want to make in a Quilts of Valor thing because of the whole connection with military and service, right?
Yeah, it has to be a certain size, colors.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm doing with my Carnival Puzzle Mystery quilt that I'm currently in the middle of. That's going to go to Quilts of Valor when it's all said and done.
Oh, nice.
So I do have plans for another Quilt of Valor one. I've only got a couple of blocks done on it, and it's not really a pattern per se. It's more or less my version of a scrappy maple leaf design. So
Okay.
but it's all made with 2.5-inch blocks, which might be why I haven't worked on it much lately. Maybe I may have to revamp that idea. But yeah, I know there's lots of places out there, but I just have to get my rear end in gear and go for it.
We'll have to keep him accountable over the next year. Encourage him and
Oh, yeah.
keep you accountable, encourage you, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, tell me, why do I need all these quilts? I'm not using them. I don't need them. I'm done.
Enjoy making them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make them first, and then you worry what you got to do with them later.
Yeah. Jennifer asks if I thought about maybe selling some of the quilts. No. And here's why. I'm not a business, so, and people won't pay. We've had this discussion in multiple places over time. People won't pay what a quilt is worth. They think because it's handmade, they're going to get it for like $50. That doesn't even cover your fabric, as we well know, right?
Yeah.
So I would rather give. I mean, I don't need to make money from what I'm creating from that, because that's not why I do it. It's just fun. It's a hobby kind of a deal. So I would rather just give it to somebody. I wouldn't even know what price to put on a quilt if I was to sell it,
Mm-hmm.
I just tell people they can't afford me, but I'll give you a quilt.
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. What else are people saying?
Joan said she'd be happy to take a few of your quilts from your stash. So you've got a volunteer. Oh, that looks great, Shannon.
Oh, look at Shannon's.
Oh, I love that. That's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
That's the top right corner.
Nice.
Woo!
Is it going together fast?
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Shannon.
Just thank you. Thank everybody for picking it. I'm very excited.
Jackie said, I donate to Project Linus twice a year. My son, daughter do a drop off for me at the quilt shop. That's awesome. Thank you to everybody who does that. My son is 6 years old now, but when he was 1.5, he went through a cancer battle, and he's fine now as far as that goes. But when he came out of surgery, they wouldn't let us bring any of his own things in with him. So like his own blanket, a stuffed animal, any of that. But we went to the recovery room to see him. He was still out asleep, and they had covered him in a quilt, and it was from Project Linus. And that was just nice knowing that, he had something cozy to wake up with and not just the scratchy, hospital stuff. So thank you to everybody who donates to that. It's a great cause.
Somebody mentioned women's shelters as well. And I know one of the guys, some of you will know him, Ron. He's another fellow Canadian male quilter who is often on Wednesdays on Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen, and in the pop-up sew days. All the quilts that he makes, he donates to a local women's shelter. He very seldom keeps a quilt himself with it. So, and we have several of those in my area as well. So yeah, that would be that's another possibility too. So there's things out there. I just have to get my ass in gear, as they say.
Okay, so I have a question that's popped in my head that I'd like to ask the three of you. Is that back in September, was it September, October? When did we start this project?
September, yeah.
September, yeah, Labor Day weekend. Okay, so we each put out 3 patterns that our viewers could choose from, and they all voted on it, and whichever one had the most votes got made. And I would like to hear from the three of you did the viewers pick the one you wanted to make the most? And if not, which one was it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, they absolutely did pick the one that I wanted to do the most. Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, they picked the one I thought I wanted to do too, and that one. Yeah,
You have the worst luck with patterns.
I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they track the bad patterns or what?
How about you, Sean?
No, I mean, I love this pattern. I'm so glad I did it. And all three that I chose are ones that I want to do. So it's not like they chose one I didn't want to do, but I really wanted to do the produce section. That was the one I wanted to do the most. That's what I'm going to do that one next. Like once I'm finished this and quilting it and giving it to the person that it's going to, I'm going to start the produce section as well. But I'm very happy that everyone chose this because this has been an absolutely fun and exciting project. I've loved every minute of it. So thank you for everyone that voted for the Fab Farm.
Yes. So that was a really great question. And for me, I loved the Puffin Star and I loved the one I'm working on now. They were my top two out of the three. Although, as Steven said, I wanted to do all three patterns anyway, or Sean, whoever said that. So I would have been happy with any of them. But the Puffin Star was so fun to make. So I'm really happy that you guys chose it for me.
Stacked the cards in my favor by choosing Art Deco FPP, so I was gonna be happy with it.
Oh, I don't know why you chose FPP as a pattern. I have no idea why that would be.
Thought I'd change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody else said here, this is kind of interesting. Laura said, recently I heard someone kept blankets and quilts in their cars, and when they see someone in need, they gift one.
Yeah. I've heard of people doing that. Yep.
I mean, there's lots of homeless people, you know, and now we're getting into the cold weather and everything for it. But and this may sound really selfish, but one of my quilts that I spent a long time on, do I really want it to go to someone who it's going to look like within a week, like it's been dragged through the mud and the slush and the crap? And yeah, it probably will look like that. So I guess I would just have to think about the fact that at least it's keeping somebody warm. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It's their quilt. They can do with it what they want. So
that's the thing about giving away quilts that you've worked really hard on. You have to be okay with, you're happy that you gave it to somebody that made somebody happy or warm, you know, even if it's only temporary, because at that point you can't control what happens to it.
Yeah.
So
I like seeing my quilts get used. Like I tell people when I give them the quilt, please use it. Like wash it, use it, put mud on it. I really don't care, you know, because the worst thing I think is it getting put in the cupboard and never seen the light of day again. I'd rather get used. I made a baby quilt for a co-worker of mine a couple of years ago, and he came to me. He told me the other week, he said, my daughter goes to daycare and they always have to take a blanket, you know, and, you know, people call quilts blankets all the time. You just, you know, move on with that.
Yeah.
And he said that the blanket that his daughter always asks for is the one that I made for her.
Aww.
And that just made my heart so happy. It's being used. I told him, I said, look, if there's ever a hole in it, like, you know, if it wears out or whatever it is, I'll make you a new quilt or I'll repair it. Just let me know. I said, it just makes me so happy that she is using that quilt that we made for her.
Yeah.
I think that's a good attitude to have, Sean. Like you said, if it wears out, it gets a hole, let me know. I'll just make you another one. And
yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't have a problem with that because it's the journey. It's always been with quilting. It's always been the journey. You know, it's not the final product. The final product is done. I move on to the next one, you know, like when someone asks you, what's your favorite quilt? Whatever one I'm working on right now, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And somebody else said here something very interesting. It was about selling quilts and things, but oh shoot, now I can't find it. Triggered me.
Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy said that about her cousin. Yeah. But there was another comment that made me think of something else, and this is the old brain that's just, you know, hello, what room am I in and why am I here kind of thing happening to me. Oh, let me just look here. Something about Well, I
So,
think I've lost it. So carry on, people.
right, so we're making some progress. The horse.
Oh, cute.
Oh,
cow's
that's
going-
cute. That's moveless.
It's moveless and it's moving along quite nicely. So,
Moving along.
that's- I don't know if I'll achieve it, but I want to get this quilt top done during this event if I can. I think I might get close.
Have any of you ever sold any of your creations?
Yes.
Was it a quilt?
Yes.
Did you get what you wanted for it?
You never get what you want for them, but it was a quilt that I was going to donate to a charity, and it was rejected because it was like an inch off of what the size they wanted,
Oh,
which was a little bit frustrating. So I sold it and I donated the money.
oh, okay. So that's what someone said on there. They said, what about donating it for like a raffle to make
Yeah.
money for something? That's a possibility too. But you know what you just said, Stephanie, makes me
Mhm.
wonder, what happens if you go to a local, a woman's shelter or a cat shelter? I know Jan, who's usually on my channel, she does a lot with cat shelters, and she has donated quilts that they raffle off to make money for the cat shelter. Well, what would happen if you went in and said, here, I have this quilt. I know you're trying to raise money. Maybe you'd like to sell raffle tickets for this and make some money. And if they turn around and go, no, thank you. What would that do to you? I mean,
Yeah.
that would make you feel like crap, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it kind of did. I was kind of upset because it was like an inch, really? Like, okay. So, one of my friends encouraged me to sell it, and I did. And I got decent money for it. I mean, we'll never get as much as the time we put into it and all that stuff. But yeah, and so I donated that money to charity instead.
Now,
And not the charity that rejected it.
No. Well, why would they be upset that it was an inch short?
They had very specific parameters, and I don't like charities like that because it's like,
Yeah,
you're really biting the hand that feeds you there.
yeah, really. I think so. That just boggles my mind that that a charity would reject something simply because it was an inch short of whatever. I don't get it. That's crazy. Let's see something. That says she enjoyed watching you making the puffins, Stephanie, at the
Oh
retreat.
yeah, she was at the retreat and watched me make some there.
And Katie says, doesn't matter what happens to it once it's been given, meaning a quilt. You made it with love and gave it with love. The rest of it shouldn't matter. I have a quilt that is over 150 years old. It has been used. It shouldn't matter, but we're human beings and we have feelings.
Yeah.
And, if you walk into somebody's house and you gave them this quilt and you find the dog is sleeping on it and drooling all over it, I don't know. I think that could be a soft point. You're right. It's not yours anymore. They can do whatever they want with it, but at least hide it when you're coming over so they don't see what you're really doing with the quilt.
There are even odds that I'm going to like the dog better than the person anyway. So I'd be psyched to see the dog.
Yeah, I mean, all my quilts, like as soon as I put I don't have a design wall. So as soon as I'm finished putting my quilt top together, I take a photo of it on the living room floor. And Finley's always in the photos. Like as soon as she gets on there, she's on the quilt. She tests it out. Bandit used to do the same thing. So yeah, I mean, if the dog's drilling on a quilt of mine, I couldn't care. I'd be happy with it too. Because
And I especially like it when I see people that have cats and the cats are curled up on their quilts and the whole bit, because I love cats. I love dogs too, but it always makes me, like, I see Shannon's cat coming into the shot and I go, oh, pussy. It makes me gets me a little choked up because we had
Yeah.
our cat, and our cat's been gone now for 8 years, but still. And I was in quilting when we had her, and I know she would have been right there on my fabric, and that would not bother me in the least bit. I'd probably wrap her up in the fabric to keep her nice and warm and cozy. But yeah, in fact, last Christmas, I gave Walter's niece 2 quilts, one for her and one for her dog, Freddie. Freddie had gotten beat up by 3 pit bulls. He got attacked. And he is not a Great Dane, but he's a big dog. I forget what kind he is. But he's a really big dog, but he's very, very gentle. He's a pussy cat. And these dogs came out when she was walking in and attacked, drew blood. One of the neighbors bundled the dog up in his car, and they rushed the dog right down to emergency, the vets, to get him fixed up. And he's still going through trauma. And that's been over a year ago. So I made Freddie a quilt. Well, it was that, if you remember, it was the tulip pink ugly sweater fabric that I didn't know was called ugly sweater fabric. I just thought it was ugly, period. And
Yeah.
kind of ironic, but I made this, and it was flannel, and I made this for Freddie as well. So when we gave him to Karen, I said, okay, one of these quilts is for you and one's for Freddie. I said, the ugly one is for Freddie. And I don't know if I should be complimented or insulted by this, but she says, I don't know which one was the ugly one. So I'm keeping them both. And so, okay. Or Freddie. May have to make Freddie another quilt. But
Oh, buggers.
Uh-oh. Uh-huh.
Oh, no. Never mind.
Well,
The on-point layout has been blowing my mind. Like, I'm like, what? Oh.
Let's see. But I've said snobby people come in all shapes and sizes, including charities. Yeah.
yes. And 'tis the season right now, isn't it? Where they've all
Yeah.
got the pans out.
The Right Way said, I tried selling a quilt once at cost. The person had sticker shock. After that experience, I'm reluctant to sell to anyone. Yep.
Yeah.
I just tell them the price up front. In 9 times out of 10, they disappear, and that's fine. But
Yep.
I think just tell them up, just be upfront. Say this is what it is. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of labor. This is the material cost. If you want it, great. If not, good luck.
Yeah. And a lot of people, when they hear that you purchased a long arm, first thing comes out of their mouth is, oh, are you going to start a business? Are you going to quilt for people? And I always say, no. And they look at you in shock, like, but those things cost so much money, you can make it pay for itself. And I said, no, I don't trust myself to quilt for somebody else. I'd be afraid of screwing it up, and I don't want a business because then it won't be fun anymore. And I want it to continue being fun.
Katie Kraft said she went to a craft fair today and one booth had quilted pillows and such. Their company name is The Cats Were No Help. I laughed.
Oh,
Oh,
that's great.
Did they each come with their own personalized mark of hair?
Probably. Catherine said someone in a quilt chat asked where we store our quilts, and I answered under the cat.
Yeah. Cats
Funny.
have good taste.
Yes, they do.
Katie says all my quilts are cat tested and cat approved. All my blocks are cat tested. All my pieces of fabric are cat tested. I can't even get it to the finished quilt without it being tested.
Yeah.
If Finley could make her way up onto this table, I think she'd test them out that way too.
Yeah.
It's not alive unless I'm sitting here pulling at my very, very bestest friend.
Delmarie said, you're right, it becomes less fun when you're selling for money. Yep.
Yeah. Because then you've got deadlines. I mean, we put enough self-imposed deadlines on ourselves when we're doing our projects, right? Do we need the pressure of, I mean, if you can make it a viable business and you can still enjoy what you're doing, great. But I have a feeling, well, you hear, we were in our local quilt shop this afternoon, and one of the ladies in there was talking about what she was working on. She was doing something in the store because she was trying out one of the new sewing machines and doing some embroidery on just a towel or something. She says, I never get a chance, she says, to ever work on my own project. She says, I'm always making something for the store, for display, for a class, and the whole bit. She says, I can't wait till the day that I can retire from that. So I'll have my own time to do things. And, you know, that's true. She got into the business because she was a nurse, and she was a retired nurse, and she wanted to do something when she retired. So she, you know, was a quilter already. So she got a job at the local quilt store, and now she has no time to do her own projects with it. So,
Yeah.
you know, and she says by the time she gets home after she's worked and that, she doesn't really want to look at a sewing machine. So
Yeah.
that's kind of sad.
When I was working in the kitchens, I'd gone to culinary school because I loved cooking, and then I was working in the kitchens, and I was like, I never want to cook when I'm back home.
Yeah.
The thought of still standing at a stove when I got back home was just not delightful.
Mm.
No. So that's why I say, nope, I would rather do, if I do anything for anybody, I haven't quilted for anybody on my long arm because I'm still not confident enough about it for them. I mean, if someone approached me and said, look, I don't care, this is just going to be a charity quilt, but I just want to get it quilted, I would say, okay, I can slap it on my machine. I will put the program on the quilt path and let it go. And whatever happens, happens if you don't care. I have thought of, like, my local quilt guild is always looking for somebody to quilt charity quilts that the guild makes. And they take them down to a lady that I bought who's an APQS dealer. That's where I bought my long arm. But she is so busy with other projects as well, plus, you know, maintaining machines and doing stuff for other people. She rents the machines out as well. She has like about 4 long arms in her shop and the whole bit, that, you know, these guilds come in and they want her, and she does it for nothing. She supplies the backing fabric and the batting for them all free of charge to the guild. And even some of the ladies in the guild come in and who have a little bit of practice on a long arm, like doing paper pantographs and stuff like that, they'll come in and work on it. But then they get screwed up, and she has to stop what she's doing and help them out. But I don't know. I don't want to get myself involved in something where I'd have to start saying no. I mean, I have a pile of unfinished quilt tops here for this guild, you know, and I can't keep up. Then, you know, so no, I'm not volunteering myself for that right now. I did get asked by Quilts of Valor to do that. And I said, no, not right now. I said, I'm not confident enough. So
Yeah.
with it. Yeah. Plus a Quilt of Valor, I don't want to screw up on one of those. You know, they're being given to a service person. I don't want them to get a shoddy job, you know, kind of thing. So no, not doing it. Not yet.
All right, Jennifer Lang says, I'm a fresh newbie and I feel kind of embarrassed by my truly ugly creations, LOL. Don't be embarrassed. My view on this is we all start somewhere. None of us that have been doing it a while, everybody that's been doing it a while, started somewhere. We're all beginners. Like, it is a learning journey, and I believe every quilt that you do, you learn something from it. You will look back in 6 months, a year, 5 years from now and say, hey, look how far I've come. Look at what I've achieved. And, you know, don't worry about what today's quilt looks like, because, I mean, this looks nice, but in 5 years, I'm sure this is going to look shoddy to me as well. But, you know, every quilt is a learning experience, and you got to learn something from it. So don't worry, and never compare yourself to anybody else.
No, that's very true. And
all different parts of our journey.
Yeah. And, you know, contrary to what you hear, there are quilt police. We just don't like those people. We just walk up and want to slap them.
Unless they hand out pretty ribbons, and then they can.
Yeah, okay.
Those pleats
yeah.
I can deal with.
Yeah, Sean, you've have lots of pretty ribbons, and Stephanie's got lots of pretty ribbons, and even Shannon, I see behind her has
I'm
a
a
pretty
one.
ribbon. I
Yep.
don't have any because I don't
Aw.
enter any contests. I don't. I did once in my guild, and it was just when I first was quilting, and I was so proud of that quilt. I still am. It was my own design, and there was a challenge for this. They gave you had to use this particular fabric in somewhere in the quilt, and it was a nice fabric. It was Timeless Treasures. It was butterflies or something really colorful, and I ached over this quilt. I didn't cut off any of my points. I loved it. I thought this was beautiful. And I got it in the show, and they hung it right next to a woman who had done a whole applique quilt that was about all her friends. It's her sewing group, and she did caricatures of them on it. It was absolutely beautiful, funny. It just made you smile, and mine's right next to it. Yeah, I have no chance, and I didn't. I knew I wasn't going to, but it's like why I don't buy lottery tickets, because I think, I know the odds are against me, but I keep thinking, but what if? And no, don't do that to yourself. I think, Sean, you have a really great attitude towards entering your quilts into shows. And Stephanie has the same attitude. I think it's what you can learn, what they tell you. So next time you can make yourself a better quilter from that. I think that's maybe a positive for entering a quilt in for competition.
Oh, for sure. And a lot of people do that for that exact reason, even if they have no expectation of a ribbon, is they want to get the feedback. The judges' reports can be very complex or very simple. I've seen both at the state fair. And it's just nice to know what, and you can go back next year and go, okay, well, I didn't get dinged for that this year. So obviously I'm improving. So yeah, it can be a very good learning tool, but you've also got to take whatever they tell you with a grain of salt. Like, you are not perfect. Your quilts are beautiful. And just because it didn't match the perfection standard, it's okay. Just learn from it and next year try and be a little better. That's all you can do.
And don't be discouraged if you get a judge that's biased and says you used too much ombre fabric.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I have not run into that. The judges where I enter, they always mention that they like my fabric choices, which is really nice. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Kelly says, I've encountered a couple of channel police lately, as in you should do. Yeah. People have lots of suggestions, and you just, if it sounds like a good suggestion, you might retain that, and if it's not, you just let it go in one ear and out the other. I find everybody has an opinion. What's that saying? Everybody has an opinion. They're like, you know what, because we all have one of those too.
Like that's
yep. Pretty accurate.
If you love it, if you're happy with it, that's all that matters.
Yep.
And never point out your mistakes. And somebody said, and don't let Walter look at it. Yep. That's true. Yeah. Right, just zeros right in. 15 seconds. See, lay it out. Look, I'm so proud of this. I'm so happy with it. What do you think? He looks at it and he points. What happened there?
Has he thought about becoming a judge?
Crap. Go away.
I think he would make a great judge. He might have a second calling in his retirement.
Yeah, that's true, geez. Right?
Well, with Walter, nobody will win. Okay, what are people saying here? Jennifer says, do you guys have any tips or personal tricks or wisdom for those of us just starting out? I truly have absolutely no exposure at all. Didn't grow up watching my family sew or quilt anything. Well, do we have any tips for Jennifer? What would you say, Sean?
I'd say watch a lot of videos. Find a channel or channels that speak to you on your level, that are encouraging, that are real. Like, there's whatever speaks to you. If it's a channel that works for you and you enjoy it, learn from them. Be encouraged from them. And that sort of thing there. whether it's Stephanie's or Stephen or Shannon or mine or someone totally different. It doesn't matter. Just go and be inspired. Learn the little tricks, learn the different things that people teach you, because everyone teaches a little different. Everyone inspires a little differently, and go and just learn from those that inspire you and encourage you.
Yeah. What would
I
you
think
say?
that's-
Shannon? Yeah, Sean, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I was just saying, I think that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What about you, Shannon? Do you have any words of wisdom?
You don't have to have all the things. That's my biggest. You can just start off with the bare minimum basics and make incredibly gorgeous projects and be so proud. You don't have to have the specialty rulers. You don't have to have the specialty cutter, just a pair of scissors. You have to have some kind of sewing machine, but it doesn't have to be the most expensive one. You're doing it for the love of it, and you don't have to put yourself in debt to try to keep up with the Joneses.
I mean, I piece on an $80 machine.
Yeah. I've
been doing that for 10 years, and I do it because I love this machine. So yeah, you don't need would a more expensive machine work better for quilting? Absolutely. Bigger throat space, that sort of thing there. Yeah, but if you just want a piece and just get started, start with entry level. You can always upgrade or keep it as a backup machine, so that way when the upgraded machine goes to the spa, you have something to play with.
Yep.
Yeah, just start off simple. That's what I did. I went on board a cutting mat, this ruler, this, like half the stuff I have now is when I started. Yeah, start off simple.
All the stuff I started with, I only had because I had a Cricut. I didn't even have any sewing stuff. It was from another craft altogether, but multitasked or functional tools, and I used it for what I needed to do in the next craft that I liked.
Yeah. So Stephanie, you're probably the most experienced out of all of us here. So words of wisdom?
So what I would tell somebody brand new is don't start off thinking you're going to make a king size quilt. I've known too many people who are like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a quilt. And they're like, I picked out a pattern. They show it to me and it's a king size quilt with all these different shapes, and they haven't even learned a 1/4 inch yet. So I would say, if you really, really want to learn how to quilt, first, get your basic supplies. Like Shannon was saying, you don't need anything fancy. Second, learn how to get a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And once you've done that, make something really simple, whether that's a table runner, a baby quilt. Just sew some patches together and make a simple patchwork quilt with just some squares, and finish that. And once you've done that and you've got that under your belt, then try something a little bit harder. Go from squares to half square triangles. And from there, go to flying geese. Just keep building on your skills. Don't start off going, I'm going to make a quilt. I'm going to make a king size quilt for my bed, my brother's bed, my mother's bed, whatever. Don't do that, because you're going to get really frustrated and you're going to quit.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
The other piece of advice that I always give everybody is, don't be hard on yourself. I know that we are our own worst critics. I am. I know most of us here are. But don't look for perfection. Look for progress. I always say progress over perfection. If you can see yourself, like Sean was saying earlier, from one quilt to the next quilt, you learn something. And then 6 months from now, you can look at the quilt you're working on now and look at the one 6 months earlier and go, wow, I've made progress. You're not striving for perfection. There's no one perfect on this earth. There's people who have won grand champion awards. I have a best of show award. I'm not perfect. I know other people that have best of show awards. They're not perfect. You always make a mistake. So don't think that if you sew something and it's not perfect, that it's garbage. It's not. Just make progress.
Yeah, that's all true. And if I had anything to say about this, I would say just be fearless. Go in, try it. If you want to try it, what's the worst thing that can happen? It didn't work out quite like that. And boy, I'm a good example of that, because most of the projects I start never come out exactly the way they're supposed to. So I have learned to embrace imperfections. and use them as a creative jumping off point. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So yeah.
No, I love that about you, because you jump into so many things and you're like, I like that table runner you just did. That curved table runner. You were like, this is not gonna work. I remember on Wednesday you started cutting it. You're like, this is not gonna work. And it worked, and it's gorgeous. But I love that about you, that you're not afraid to just be like, okay, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, some people call me just a fool, but you know,
Hence
I
the
go
name
with,
of your channel, The Idiot Quilter, right?
yeah, that's exactly why it is. And now I have to make one comment here from the comments. And Philippa, I am not ignoring you. I just didn't see your, she says I've called her somebody 3 times on here, meaning I couldn't remember who said what, where, but trying to follow. What you guys can't see is how we're watching the chat. And you know, I'm not sewing at the moment because I do have something to show you guys, but because I finished what I started here, but I can't keep up. I'm looking at the comments on another screen and I'm trying to keep up. So Philippa, I apologize. You are the love of my life. I will see you in Brisbane when we get there. Yeah. And she knows we will. So I'll show you what came out of the embroidery machine here. Now, this is just one piece of it because it's done in pieces and sewn together, but that's what I was working on.
Oh, that's cute.
It's supposed to be a mantle of a fireplace. The fireplace is the next piece that's we created down below. So
I love that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's the thing that I'm working on.
Very cute. And Sherlock Sews has a really good tip, actually. She said, never sew when you're cranky or sleepy. That is so true. I know when it's time to quit sewing for the day, when I have to bring out Jack the Ripper way too much because I'm tired and I should stop. I tend not to because I'm always pushing myself to get more stuff done. But that's a very good point. Yep.
I have a simple rule. If I have to pull that Jack twice on the same project, it goes in the sin bin for a while and I move on. All right. Either it's time for a nap or it's time to move on to a different project. And I did that this morning on my live. I was working on Clue 5 of the Puzzle Mystery Quilt, and I put this all together. Yeah, we keep it real here on The Guy Who Sews. We put this together, and it's wrong. This is supposed to be flipped around. And I was just like, you know what? I've already struggled with this enough this morning, and so I put it in its bag, and I went and worked on something else. So it's okay to do that.
Yep.
And another thing, not just never sew when you're tired or annoyed, never sew when you're drunk, because your creation is going to look wonderful. But then the next morning when you get up, you're going to go, what the hell was I thinking there? So just a word for the wise, for those of you that like to have a little glass of wine sitting close to you.
Also, the number of UFOs that you have, unfinished objects or works in progress that you have going on, is nobody's business but your own.
Yeah.
I like that.
You owe nobody any explanations on how many projects you may have going.
Oh, I love that,
I'll tell everybody and their brother.
That's going to be my new policy, Shannon.
Amazingly, I don't usually have any UFOs because I can't stand having something that's unfinished.
Yeah.
You know, it's even if it's not going well, I will struggle to finish it. It's the same with books. I get through a book and go, I really hate this book. I will force myself to finish it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, you do that. You crank at it until you're done. I've noticed that with you. Like you finish, even if you're like, oh, I'm done with this quilt. There's like 30 of the same block. You'll crank at it till it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm crazy.
I have 3 squirrel moments.
No, actually, I think you're smart. I wish I could do that because I have way too many UFOs. We're not going to tell how many there are.
I like to think that my channel is like a box of chocolates. You just never know what you got to see that week. So it kind of keeps people guessing. So for me, I take it and turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
Russ just said that. So that's why you and Philippa are trying to enable me. UFOs don't matter. Yes.
Luane said, friends don't let friends drink and
so.
I knew we were going to talk about drinking and sewing. I would have bought my what is it? My shirt that says "Don't drink and quilt," and it's got like one of the It's like a. So I can't word today. Hunter's Star, not the Hunter's Star, the bear paw, and one of them's turned around sideways, which one of these sunflowers has turned some sideways too. And I just left it because I just didn't think it mattered that much.
Bev says, can I send you several of my first attempts that I have put aside? No, Bev. That's the simple answer. I am not finishing anybody else's quilt. Yeah. Nice try though, Bev, really.
You can show them to him if you want to, but I don't think he wants them.
Oh, I don't want them. No.
Here we go. Second line done.
Oh, that's so pretty. Shannon, that's going to be gorgeous.
That
I
is,
haven't-
Yeah.
I have to attach the corner to this line, but
you have to rip all that paper out afterwards, don't you?
I do. But that's fun. I just sit
That's
and
the
watch
fun part.
true
Oh, yeah.
crime
Whenever-
TV and just rip.
So when I finish Toasty like in 2037, can I send them for you to rip out?
Absolutely.
Okay, so question for you. With FPP, like with ripping out the paper, what is stopping a person from just soaking it in water and just letting nature take its course?
Nothing.
So I could do that.
If you wanted to, yeah, they have pens that are just water pens that you just rub across that seam to have it come apart.
Because
There's
that's the same
nothing
thing with
stopping-
myself. Like I've got, I've got the official Legit Kits paper for Toasty because I bought the pattern from them.
Yeah.
And I was like, instead of me spending hours and hours ripping all that paper off the back, can't I just like throw it in a big bucket and just let nature take its course?
Throw some the color catchers in, I would guess I
Okay.
mean, you would end up washing it anyway. Yeah.
That's what I figured, like why make my life difficult? And I think since you're an official instructor, I'd ask you while you're here.
Somebody bought one of those acorn pens for me, like a second one, just to use for water to take off the FPP. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That's interesting.
Just a tub. Just put the whole thing in. Because you don't want that in your washing machine.
No.
I would definitely say don't put it in the washing machine.
No, I wouldn't. No, I mean,
But a tub of water.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, I'm with Philippa. She says, life is boring if you don't have at least 10 projects going at the same time. Okay, I'm on like camp there. Maybe it's an Australian thing. I don't know, but I'm definitely in that camp.
See what happens with me. No, go ahead, Shannon.
Oh, I was just, but when you get like, I get bored. I have to go to something else. So I like having a couple of things, or when I get frustrated because these papers aren't lining up the way they should, I'm going to go do a cotton cuts where all the stuff lines up because it's cut that way. So, yeah.
See, I can't do that. I've tried, and very seldom do I have I might have 2 projects on the go at once on an occasion, but usually I have to focus all my attention on the one.
Yeah.
And if I have more than one going, what happens is I'm working on one, but my mind is now thinking about the other one. And that's when I make mistakes on the one that I should be concentrating on. So I just find, no, I
So
don't.
Stephen, do you mean that you'll only have one quilt going, but will you have a quilt going and an embroidery project going possibly and something on Lucy?
I might have something on the embroidery machine going while I'm doing some other sewing, but even then it bugs me because I'm listening to the embroidery machine, because when you do machine embroidery, when they're kind of like Lucy, you turn your back on it for a moment, and that's when a thread nest will happen, and your machine will
Like
make
what Walter was
horrible
saying.
noise. Yeah.
Was that, yeah.
Your hoop will jump out, and then you're just screwed. So I have my ears listening to this because I know my machine sounds very well, and as soon as I hear something, I go, oh, I got to get up and turn it off before it does something horrible. But then I'm not concentrating.
So you're not really in the zone for the other
And
thing. Yeah.
So I'll sew a piece on backwards the wrong way because of that and the whole bit. And then I get frustrated. What I do find, though, is after I have finished a project, one that's been fairly intense, I like to do what I call a palette cleanser. I'll take something simple that I know, like I'll do a table runner or a placemat or some simple embroidery or something like that, just to still keep my groove going that I'm working on something, but to clear my mind out a little bit before the next project.
Let's see. Luane said he has a t-shirt that he loves. It says, if you see a seam ripper, now is not a good time.
I have one of those.
And Kate said, thank you for the thank you note. Well, you don't have to thank me for the thank thank you for sending me a card. That was very sweet. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. I just saw her comment about it's really turning out well. It's good. So I will be hanging this during the Christmas season with the table runner that we did in Millersburg that Stephanie wrote, where it's from the same fabric, the ombre flurries.
Mm-hmm.
I may leave that up all year long. I may be Christmas in my dining room all year long.
Oh, thanks for saying that, because somebody asked earlier in the chat and it went by and we were doing other things and I forgot. But somebody asked me what the name of this pattern was. This is my pattern and it's going to be in my shop later tonight. I had to get the file off my old computer that died. I just got a new computer, thank goodness. So I will get that file up and into my shop tonight. So if you want that. Yay. Forget who asked. It was like a long time ago.
Oh, but did you say what the name of it is?
Oh gosh, what did I name it? I can't remember now.
Trees.
Trees, yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
suggestion.
I think it's Christmas tree or something, maybe.
I don't remember.
I don't remember even.
Just
It was
include
a
a picture
quick
and they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It was such a quick and fun. So everybody had a great time doing that at the retreat.
It's like you can make it with strips really fast. It goes together really fast. So.
And I'm just saying that just because you're releasing these patterns does not mean that I still don't think that you should release a book of your patterns from retreats, because I still think it's so fun.
Thank you. You're so
That would be a great idea,
I know they keep asking.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
The hell with the shipping costs. I'll buy it. The hell with the fact that I'll have to take a second mortgage out to pay for it in Canadian funds. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are fun. Thank you.
Mary said that she made where's her comment? Oh, she says, I usually have a hard project and an easy project going at the same time.
Oh,
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to do that.
I'm just not a multitasker, I guess.
You're focused. So,
Yeah.
Stephen, do you finish? So, if you have a plate, say for like a holiday dinner, do you finish one item at a time?
What you mean?
Like on your plate when you're eating?
Oh, what I mean? That is a really good question.
That's a good question.
When I was younger, I would, and I couldn't let anything touch.
I'm with you there. Nothing could touch when I was a kid.
My food can't touch either.
Yeah.
Nope.
Now that doesn't bother me, and I still though tend to lean towards eating sort of one thing at a time, but not as much as I used to. I now try to make the variety of it. But yeah, that's very true. I did do it that way. I don't know what that says about my personality. What's that?
What does that say about all of
OCD?
us? Yeah, we're OCD because we're all like, no, food can't touch.
My mother was a nasty lady at times. She loved cooked beets. They come in a can. Oh, they're horrible. Harvard beets, they call them, or something.
I love Harvard beets.
Oh, I absolutely hate them. Walter loves them too. But I absolutely hated them as a kid. I still hate them to this day.
Oh, I probably would hate them as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. But what my mother would do, she just loved them. And I don't want any of those. Don't give me those. Oh, you're going to eat some of these. And she'd take a big spoonful of them and slop them on my plate right next to my mashed potatoes. And she purposely would do that so they would bleed into my potatoes. And it was, used to.
Bless you.
Well, a word to the wise then, when you go to Australia next year, do not ask for a hamburger with everything on it, because they will put beets on it.
Oh, now I have had that. And I don't mind that at all, because those aren't cooked like vinegar. I don't mind a beet that's pickled, a pickled beet or that kind of thing. Or even in a salad. I've had them like roasted in a salad, but just those canned ones my mother used to buy, they they're slimy and they're I like the color purple except in beets. Like, ugh. Let's see what other people are saying.
I just don't like the smell of them when they're cooking, and they just taste like dirt to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Ugh.
They are very earthy, and I love them, and that's why I like eel and catfish, because it's very earthy. I have a thing with them.
Gotcha. I will give you all of that stuff then.
You can have it. I do not like fish. period.
Oh,
Just-
yeah.
Ugh. That was another thing my mother liked. She liked fish. We'd have it once a week, and I could not leave the table till I ate it, and I just choking on it. And when I say she was serving fish, it wasn't really fish. It was like fish sticks. It was fish
Yeah.
bits. You know, it wasn't like, this fish that you see in a restaurant where they, it's all laid out.
Miso glaze and all that
Yeah,
kind of
and
stuff.
all that kind of stuff. I still hate it, even if it was served that way, but yeah.
Oh, I love okra. Oh, I love okra so much. Yep.
I like
All right. I still have to put the border around the edge, but do you want to see?
Yes.
those. Oh,
Oh,
that
Let me move
is
this out of the way real quick.
fun.
So sweet.
oh, that's cute.
Oh, I
I
like
think
the
it's
pig. I love the
pig
pig.
is
Oh,
adorable.
the pig's my favorite. I think the pig has to be my favorite. Like,
Yeah.
he is just super. Hang on, the wrong way.
But I
you'll
like
see
the
this.
goat too.
Yeah, the goat turned out really cute.
They're all
Yes,
cute.
this is-
They're all
They
cute.
are.
The sheep looks like a big cloud.
It
Yeah.
does. Yeah, I mean,
Very fluffy.
I wanted the
Fluffy.
gray sheep. I didn't want white necessarily. And then I was pulling from Stash for everything, and this was a nice batik that I had, and I thought it would look more like give you like a texture of wool. But yeah, it does look like a
Yeah.
cloud sometimes too. But
But I like the texture in it. You're right about
Yep.
that.
yeah,
And the
is
sunflower.
this one here. Actually, let's talk about imperfections real quick.
Oh,
Like this sunflower is actually on sideways, like this. Where is it? This piece here on the side is actually supposed to be down here because it's slightly bigger.
Oh, well, big deal.
That's what I said. I was like, I don't feel
Yeah,
like
you
pulling
can't
out jack to
tell.
mess with it. So,
Only Walter
Um,
would have noticed that, but
well, Walter's not here. So
We're just gonna show it to
I was like, it's not going into a show. And even if it did, I don't even think they'd notice. So,
I don't
There
think
you
we would
go.
have unless you pointed it out. You should have not said nothing.
oh, I don't
So
care.
is-
I don't mind saying that I make mistakes.
So does that mean it's done, Sean? Is like, or
I
do
was
you
going
have
to put these. It's going to have a border around the edge of
Okay.
this, but I figured it was basically done, and I just figured I want to show you all real quick. So,
Yeah.
but for all, yeah, it's pretty much done except for these last, outer borders. So I pretty much spent my timeline. So I'm really happy with that.
Well, everybody's loving it in the comments.
Good, excellent. Yeah, I mean it's been such a fun project. If you are on the fence about doing it and you want to try it, I say go for it. It's all traditional pieced. I get this question all the time with these Art East and Elizabeth Hartman. It's not FPP or foundation paper piecing. It's all traditional. It's a lot of stitch and flip. But once you get the hang of that, which doesn't take long usually, it goes together pretty quickly. So there
Yeah.
you go.
It's now making me want to possibly do the Elizabeth Hartman Foxes one.
I think,
I think
that
the
one's
Fox
gonna be really
one's one of
cute.
the. I don't think it has as many pieces as some of the
No.
others, so I think you might actually do pretty well with that, Stephen.
I've had that pattern for a long time.
Yeah. It's all
Now-
the same except for like whatever you make the fox, right?
Yeah, true. And I
Yeah.
guess it's also got like you can applique on, there's a pattern in there for appliquing glasses on some of the foxes and things like
Oh,
that.
cute.
That's cute.
Might be kind of fun too with it. So I could do something with that, I'm sure.
Oh, talking about thought bubbles. You could do a thought bubble over one of the foxes to tell us what the fox says.
Yeah. And then put another one near the bottom of the quilt that's doing that was that woo 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 or lang lang lang, whatever that was, what the fox said.
Yes.
Or you could just put in, doesn't matter what the fox says, he's right.
All right, Joyty is asking, what pattern is that? It is called Fab Farm, and it's by Elizabeth Hartman. You can buy it in a lot of quilt shops. You can buy it on her website, which is elizabethhartman.com, I believe. It's also available like on Amazon and other Fact Quarter shop and that sort of thing there as well. But it's called Fab Farm. It's a cute little pattern. This is the small. which finishes out at 38 by 38, or you can make a large quilt, which is 72 by 72, and it's basically 4 of these all together, just arranged in a different order.
Jackie has a question for Shannon. She says, will you be doing the legit kits Father Christmas? I bought the pattern from the designer.
Oh, yes, that is going to be a part of Vlogmas, where I'm going to cut the squares for all of that using my AccuQuilt, because I'm really bad at showing at how much I like my AccuQuilt. And so I decided that that's going to be a part of, because it's a pixel quilt. So there are a lot of squares in it, but they're good sized squares. They're not the separate levels of hell, like tiny 1.5 inch squares. So that'll be highlighted in a couple of Vlogmas videos of how I'm putting that together. I'm excited about that. It's a cute one.
Okay.
Philippa says she thought that my other quilt selection was the blowing up bunnies. Actually, I was thinking of doing that one. Then I decided to put the fox one in simply because I knew Stephanie had an Elizabeth Hartman in her set. I think, Sean, you had one in your set too, didn't you?
Blowing up bunnies was my third choice.
Oh, that's right. That's why I didn't do it, because that was the one that you were going to do as well. Plus, I was a little burnt out from doing the cat scratch one. And I do want to do the blowing up bunnies one though, and that'll be a next year project or something like that. When I sit down and make all these plans for all the projects I'm going to do in the next year, and then I won't do most of them because I'll find other ones I want to do instead.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. That's
Yeah, people just keep coming out with new fabric and new patterns. I can never catch up.
That's right.
That's why I don't plan too far ahead.
Yeah, Sean was telling me the other day about Art East coming out with some new patterns next year. We don't know what they are yet, but
No, I tried conning the information out of him, but he wouldn't twig. I tried.
Couldn't get him in to give you the inside scoop, right?
Sadly, no.
He wouldn't twig. That's a cool.
Yeah.
Wouldn't twig. That's the cutest. I've never heard that before.
That's all right. No, when I was talking to him the other week, he said that the new patterns hopefully will go out sometime before the end of the year. So they're like in the final tip. So he did give me a sneak peek of Alice in Wonderland after we had our live together earlier this year. So I did get a sneak peek at that. So that was fun. But yeah, I have no clue what the new patterns are, but I just wanted to find out so that way I could make sure there's money on my account, so when it goes live, I can go ahead and press buy.
Katie Crafts.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Katie Crafts is asking a question. I think it might have to do with the Art East quilt company. Has anyone done the Goats in Pajamas quilt? I'm thinking about doing it next year. That's an Art East, isn't it?
Yes.
No, I haven't done that one.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I have not done it yet. Because right now I'm doing pandas and sweaters. I've done the koalas, that one sweaters. But yeah, I mean, I might do that one at some point, but I really want to do the I think my next one I want to do is the space bacon.
Oh,
They're like little astronauts with pigs inside it, and there's like strips of bacon. It's a really
pigs in space.
Yep.
There's one,
it's
there's
when
one
pigs
coming-
fly, right?
Yeah, right.
There's an Elizabeth Hartman pattern coming out, and I believe it's April. That's cats in pajamas, and I really like that one. And my daughter loves that one, so I might end up doing that one. But not goats in pajamas.
Art East needs to be one with gnomes.
Yeah, that's true. Here's the little seagull. So I finished that.
Oh, that's cute.
That little eyeball finishes at 1/4 inch.
Oh, good God.
Oh, wow.
That was fun.
Have you heard of a Sharpie?
Yeah, right. Now you tell me, Stephen. So one more piece of that quilt done. I've got 3 more blocks. I have a lobster, an anchor, and a whale to do. So
was that a third choice? Was that one of your choices?
This was one of them. Yeah, this is what it is. So I've got everything, the top all done. I've got these 3 blocks left to do. Yep.
That one's fun too.
Yeah, someone had made that and entered it into the State Fair of Virginia this year. I saw it hanging up in the exhibition hall. It was really neat to see. They used a different. It was like a very dark aqua color, I think it was, for the background. It was really cute.
Oh, nice.
And so I took a picture of it and sent it to John and said, "Hey, here, look at this."
Yeah. Very cool.
Janet Johnson asks me, have you finished your quilt top? Yes, I have. I have finished the whole quilt. It is quilted and bound and ready to go, but you can't see it. I can't show it on my channel. I can't show it until January. And then I will. And the second choice one is just waiting for me to get it on Lucy and get it quilted. And that I'm going to get done in probably another week's time. But I won't show that to you either. That's all going to happen in January.
Yep. We'll show you guys. Our big finish is in January, so we'll show you guys then.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, I gotta find it. The right way asked, is anyone going to QuiltCon in February? I am. Shannon and Sean.
I'm not.
We'll excuse you. You're Canadian.
Yeah, there's no excuse for Canadians.
Yeah. Yeah, the three of us are, and there's lots of folks here on YouTube that are going. And lots of subscribers have told me, since Shannon and I have talked about it many times, said, "Oh, I'm going. I want to meet up with you. I'm going." So I've heard from, I think there's going to be quite a few people there. So here's the thing though. If you're going to be at QuiltCon, we don't know what you look like. You know what we look like, but we don't know what you look like. So if you see any of us, come up and say hi and say who you are. But also, if your screen name is different than your real name, tell us what your screen name is too, because we can make that connection. I've had people come up to me at shows and say, "Oh, it's you," and I'm like, "Great, who are you?"
It's so me.
Thank you for stalking me.
we're real people just like you are, so just come up to us and say hello. We'd love to meet you. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think what I'm going to try and do, just to make things easier, is I'll try and set aside, like, I'm going to say, "Hey, look, between this time and this time, I'm going to be at this location, come by and say hi," and that way you don't have to like run around trying to find me. I did that at Mid-Atlantic this year. It worked out beautifully. There is a question that came in from Kate as well. She says, "Why can't we share the quilt?" What we decided as a group beforehand, before we started this whole project, we released everything together, which we did back in September. We decided to come today together just to do like a catch-up progress update and sew together. And then in January, mid-January, I believe it is, we are going to do a pre-recorded, correct?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll release a video showing off the final quilt, like everything done, quilted, bound, all that sort of good stuff as well. So that's why Stephen is not showing it today, is because we want to kind of keep that surprise for you guys in the middle of January. So we have like, what, 5 or 6 weeks, I think, now to get everything done, and that way we can give you a kind of like close the whole thing out, I guess, is the easiest way to, is it?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, perfect. Okay, excellent.
Yeah. Lots of people saying they're going to QuiltCon. Russ of Quilt Meets World is going to QuiltCon, so you'll meet him there.
You know, I wish I was going, because then I would get a t-shirt made and for all of you. And when we're standing together for a group photo, your t-shirts would have little arrows on them pointing towards me, and they'd say, "I'm with the idiot."
I'm with the idiot.
I love it.
So great.
I love it. That'd be great. Jody said, "What is the best hotel to stay? I would be by myself and want to be safe." So what I would recommend is going to QuiltCon's website, because they have several hotels listed. And I would imagine that they're picking safe ones or in a safe area. So if those are sold out, you could pick another one in the area. That's what I would recommend. I don't know anything about the hotels. I am traveling with Shannon and Ingrid, and I am letting them take care of that. My job is just to get to Maryland.
There you go.
Yeah, and then I'm just going down and back in the same day, so I'm not staying overnight. So I'm of no help either.
Oh, sorry. Luane said, "I'm skipping this year, but I will be at the 2025 one that will be in Phoenix."
It'll be a lot closer for him because he's out in California, in the San Francisco area, if I remember correctly. So,
Well, I would have considered it this year, except that I'm going to Stephanie's Georgia retreat, and then Walter and I are going in March to Australia. So
yeah, you got a lot of fun stuff coming up.
And I mean, the Canadian Quilt Show is in Edmonton this year, in June. So I don't know if we're going to be going to that or not. Right now, probably not, because it's in Edmonton.
Yeah, it's a hike for you.
Edmonton, well, it's still actually it's an expensive flight. Flying anywhere in Canada is expensive. With it,
just hop the rails. Just hop on a train going west.
Oh my God, no! Kill me now.
You can be a hobo.
Oh, jeez. Canadian Pacific Railways. Oh no.
Oh, the Canadian National as
no.
well.
First class is a seat on the outside. You don't want to know what the economy class is.
Kelly's Quilts and Cruises is saying goodbye. Thank you for being here. We're glad to see you.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
And Greenland Quilter said she secured an Airbnb that she's staying at with friends and family. That's a good idea. The Right Way said, I think any Hilton or Marriott hotel should be okay. I personally like the Embassy Suites in Raleigh. So there you go. There's somebody that knows a little bit about the area, it sounds like. So great. Thank you. The Right Way.
Yeah, it's Miss Janice. And I would just also recommend looking at the reviews of the hotel. People will tell you if the rooms are dirty, if it feels unsafe, if the car got broken into. People are not shy to tell you about a bad experience on a hotel review website. So, check the Google reviews, check the hotel.com reviews, or wherever you go to book as well before booking, as well. And that will give you a pretty good idea of what to expect.
Yeah.
Or Janet saying Australia in March, whereabouts? What state? Well, we're going to go to Sydney first, and we're spending some time in Sydney. Then we're going to probably make our way up to Brisbane. And we're only gone this time. This one's a relatively short trip compared to our other trips. I mean, this will be our 4th trip to Australia. This one's only going to be a little over 3 weeks this time. So we've seen quite a bit of Australia in the other trips we've been to, but we really do like Brisbane, and we want to go to Sydney because my nephew lives there, and I haven't seen my nephew in about 10 years. So I'm sure he's grown up. So we want to visit him as well. And we love Brisbane. It's beautiful.
It's
city.
It's a pretty city.
Yeah. And that's it. But we don't really have a set itinerary yet. My travel agent is still working on it, i.e. Walter. So I won't know until we get on the plane and go, so where are we going?
Well, if you're willing to pay for a business class ticket for me, I'll volunteer to be your guide.
Yeah, no, we're not going business class.
Okay.
We're going upgraded economy. So
I'll settle for that.
Yeah. No, should have got in on the seat sale, because the seats we have now round trip cost us about 4,700 Canadian dollars, but they've just gone up by a couple of thousand more since we got in that sale. So that's the most expensive part about going to Australia is the flight.
Yep.
The rest of it, for us as Canadians anyways, our dollar is almost at par with the Australian dollar. So when you see a price in Australia, it's pretty much the same as Canadian. And one thing Australians do that Canadians don't do is when you see the price on something, and if it says it's $69, it's $69. Tax is included in the price. And I like that.
Mm-hmm. That was funny because my exchange student Simon tells me all the time, he's like, it drives me crazy that he sees $69 on a thing and then it's ended up like 72 point whatever it is. So yeah, it's like that over in Europe as well. Like I think the US is probably, and maybe Canada is like the only places that don't build the tax in.
Yeah.
Matthew said she's staying at the Marriott next to the conference center. So it sounds like the Marriott is kind of a good one to stay at. A lot of people have said that. So for QuiltCon. All right. Well, we have gone for an hour and a half now, a little over an hour and a half. And I'm ready to go on a date night with my husband. So
yep. And also saying
our date night.
Dinner. So do you want to just
wrap this up? I'm going to let you guys one at a time kind of talk about where you're at, show whatever you were working on tonight. And Shannon, do you want to start?
Oh, sure.
And if you have any announcements for your channel too.
Oh, Okay, yes. I am partaking in Vlogmas, which is 25 days. I'm doing 25 days of quilty goodness. Will not be as long as today. Today was kind of a tutorial-ish thing. But will be about 5 to 10 minutes of stuff, fun stuff, I hope. And tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, Stephanie will be on my channel for my live, and we're going to be working on a project from Fat Quarter Shop's Jolly Box. So I hope you all will come and see that. And tonight I was working on the Exhausted Octopus Art Deco tiles, and I have just about 3 of the 5 rows done. So
Nice.
I'm doing well.
That's beautiful. Stephen?
Well, I already showed you this. This is what I was working on today. And I've already talked about the quilts for this and what state they're in and everything. So what's coming up is we have Stephen and Walter live tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time, as usual. And I'm also doing a men's sew day tomorrow, starting at 8 a.m., running until 3 p.m. So all men are welcome to join in if they wish to be there. It's come and go as you please. It's all very informal. And so don't get jealous, ladies, because I'm having a pop-up sew day. For anybody who's interested, come a week from today. It's the plan right now. I'm going to be talking more about it tomorrow on Stephen and Walter Live, and there'll be links for it as well in show notes for everything I put up next week. And those of you on the mailing list will get a direct mail out with the link for it as well. So yeah, and I'm going to the dentist on Monday, and I'm not looking forward to that.
Aw.
You know, annual cleaning. They get in there and just go to town. They dig up buried treasure for some reason, but whatever.
If only it were gold to pay for it, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Sean.
Okay, so I have been working on my Fab Farm, which was the one that you all chose for me by Elizabeth Hartman. And I have put the top and the bottom borders on, so I just got to put the border on the side, which is like a 2-inch strip of this. So what you see now is basically what you got to get, just with a 2-inch thing on the side. And I can't really see what I'm doing, but there we go.
Perfect.
Okay, so there you go. What have I got going on? Well, I decided not to do Vlogmas this year. I did Vlogtober, so mine's been and done. I wanted to be able to experience it as a viewer, be able to support all my friends that are doing Vlogmas. I have time to watch Stephanie and Shannon, and Stephen's going to do a project with Stephanie, correct? You guys are opening the Jenny Doan box once a week or something. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, every 5 days. Yeah.
Every 5. Okay. Well, I was close. For me today, that's really good. So I'm just going to be supporting everybody else doing that. And then I'll have my Saturday morning lives as usual at 8 a.m. in the morning Eastern. So if you're an early bird, you can watch that. And then Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern, I'll have my podcast. And tomorrow will be episode 101. Like, I'm just ecstatic we've made it into the triple digits.
Yes. Yay.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Awesome.
And
Well, I've
so,
been working
Stephanie, what do you got coming up?
I've been working on Going Coastal, the pattern behind me. I've got the Puffin Star done that you all picked for me. Like Shannon said, tomorrow I'm going to be on her channel, 11 a.m. Eastern. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to sewing up that project. It's a quick, fun thing, and you can give it away as a gift. Let me think. Vlogmas tomorrow, of course, and that's early in the morning before Shannon and I get together. And then Monday is the last Fort Worth Fabric Studio lighted up. So that quilt we'll finish it and it'll be done. I'm really excited to have another quilt top done. And it's going to be a beautiful Christmas quilt. I love the fabric. So really excited about that. And then Tuesday night is the New York Beauty Shannon and I are starting. So we're going to be on her channel, 6 p.m. Eastern time live. Looking forward to that. I've never made a New York Beauty before. I've stared at them at quilt shows going, I don't think I can do this. But Shannon is an amazing FPP teacher, though, so I think we're going to do just fine with her walking us through it. And then Wednesday is Sewing with Stephen, so it's going to be a busy but fun week.
Yeah.
Lots of quilty goodness for everyone.
Yes, lots of quilting goodness. Marilyn saying she's enjoying everyone's Vlogmas. Thank you so much. We're having a great time.
Yes.
All right, so to the viewers at home, we'll say goodbye for now, but it won't be long till you'll see us all, because every single one of us is going to be on something tomorrow. So
Yep.
Yeah.
check us all out.
Hope you're
And
not
thanks for being
yet.
here. Thanks for being here, everyone, and everyone at home. See you later.